Did you forget how to collaborate? In this world of lockdown and isolation and working from home and only talking to other people via Zoom or Microsoft Teams, did you forget how important it was to work with other people? Hi, I'm Andrew Burns, founder of runningtokeepup.com, and this is the Running to Keep Up show. So I wanted to talk to you today about collaboration, and I wanted to tell you a story about the first lockdown here in the UK. So countries, nations, people had been going into lockdown all across Europe, and we were pretty late to the party, but suddenly we were locked down. We weren't allowed to go out. We had to figure out how to work from home. We had to figure out tools that we were always aware of but hadn't really used to their full extent, the likes of Zoom and Microsoft Teams. We had to figure out maybe how to deliver sales messages. I work as a sales guy, so I'm used to being in front of a customer and having a conversation and putting across my sales message in that face-to-face kind of situation, and now I had to figure out how to do that over a webinar, how to do that over a video call. It was pretty challenging. And the other thing that happened during that first lockdown was all the barbers shops, all the hairdressers closed, and my hair didn't stop growing. And so what I found myself doing, I wonder if this resonates with you, what I found myself doing was having some of those calls just as audio, because I didn't want people to see my hair, which is ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but that is what I was doing. But eventually, the company that I was working for at the time kind of mandated that you had to have your camera on. So now I was having to sort out my hair, and it was getting longer and longer, and I was kind of waiting for the barber shops to reopen, and they weren't going to reopen anytime soon. And even if they did I really want to go? Did I really want to risk that kind of close personal contact with someone who may or may not have had coronavirus? There was all this stuff playing in my mind under this kind of mop of unruly red hair. Why am I thinking about this today? Because we're getting close to that time again, back in another lockdown. Hopefully I've learned my lesson this time. So one of the things that was coming up for me during that time, as my hair was getting longer and longer, was I had a webinar to deliver. There was going to be hundreds and hundreds of potential customers watching me, listening to me, and I wanted a haircut. I wanted to look nice, as as much as that is possible to do, for me personally. So I left it and I left it and I left it, and this webinar was coming up. The presentation was written. I'd rehearsed. I was prepared. I knew what I was going to say. I knew what I was going to deliver for these, pushing 1,000 customers that were going to be online with me. But now I needed to take some action. I needed to get a haircut. I was going to have to do it myself. And I had a few offers of help from within my household. My partner offered to help me, although she caveated that offer by reminding me that she's left-handed and kind of cack-handed and not great at using scissors. So that kind of made me back away from that offer a little bit. My 12-year-old offered to help me as well. "Don't worry, Dad," she said to me. "I'm totally skilled." Yeah, not gonna happen. I've seen her using a knife and fork. There was no way she was coming at me with clippers or scissors. So I decided this was something I was gonna have to do for myself. Now, when I was growing up, my dad always told me that you needed the right tool for the job. And usually this was just a way for him to procrastinate on something, because he didn't have the right tool for the job, and therefore the job wouldn't get done. That wasn't going to happen to me. It was okay that I didn't have a set of hair clippers. I had a set of beard trimmers. They were going to have to do. So I charged them up. I locked myself in the bathroom. I set those trimmers going. I put the right guard on. I trimmed my hair. It felt like the hair was being ripped out of my head. I gave it another go, and that's when the battery died. The newly charged battery. You know, my hair had got so long and so unruly that these beard trimmers managed to basically shave 2 stripes into my head before they gave up the ghost. Great. What was I going to do now? Well, I was going to have to get on Amazon and order the right tool for the job. Unfortunately, I wasn't alone. I wasn't the only person with unruly hair probably feeling pressure from being on camera for their work. Hair clippers were like gold dust on Amazon, but eventually I found a set that could be delivered the next day. So right, I committed, I bought them, and I was just gonna have to tolerate these 2 bald strips in the side of my head until the professional clippers arrived. The next day I had to be on another Microsoft Teams meeting, and my colleagues must have thought I was really strange because I sat like this to the camera so that they couldn't see these kind of stripes that I'd shaved into my own head. But anyway, that's that's what happened. And later that evening, the more professional clippers, they were still pretty cheap and nasty set because that's all I could get with a day's notice. But they arrived. I charged them up, and once again I hot-footed upstairs, off to the bathroom, in front of the mirror, safe in the knowledge that now I had the right tool, I was going to be able to do a great job. And actually, those cheap and nasty clippers worked a treat. They really helped. I put the guard on. I was, shaved up the side and the back of my head, and both sides, and I was going great guns. It was good. It was good. And I was thinking to myself, why have I been spending so much money at the barbershop? This is easy. I could do this for myself the whole time. Now I've invested in the tools. I'm never going to go to the barbershop again. Now I had to cut the top of my hair. And that was okay. I started out okay. So I had a comb and I was using it as a gauge to get the right length. And I was, watching my reflection in the mirror. And I carried on using the clippers. So I was gauging the length, trimming with the clippers. And it was all going swimmingly. So now I had the guard off the clippers because I'm an idiot, essentially. And I don't know if you have the same problem. I struggle to do anything looking at myself in the mirror, other than shave, maybe. I can do that looking in the mirror, but if I try and tie a tie on myself whilst looking in a mirror, I suddenly forget what I'm doing and I get confused. I can do it without looking in a mirror perfectly fine, but it's that kind of visual confusion. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just an idiot, I don't know. But yes, I have trouble controlling my hands while I'm looking in the mirror. And at some point, whilst I was trimming my hair, one hand went back, the other hand went forward, the trimmers buzzed against my scalp. And it took a couple of seconds for me to realise what that buzz meant. What had I done? I had basically shaved a divot out of the centre of my head. Now I'm getting to a certain age where the hair on the top of my head isn't as thick and lustrous as it once was. And I can ill afford to lose a chunk of hair from the top of my head, but that is what happened. Looking in the mirror, got confused, the hands went in different directions, and I shaved a triangular chunk of hair out of the top of my head, out of the top of my hair. What was I going to do now? Well, now I had to seek some help. Now I had to seek some assistance. I had to go and get my partner and trust her left-handed driving of scissors, and that's what I did. And she helped me. And luckily, because of this part of my hair, which my children lovingly call my Tintin quiff, so it reminds them of Tintin, the comic strip character, the cartoon character. So because of my Tintin quiff, I was able to carry on and mask this bald patch that I had shaved into my own head. And I masked it, and eventually my hair grew back, and it was all fine. No webinars were harmed in the making of this terrible haircut. I delivered that webinar, it was all fine, the customers were happy. I made sure that I didn't kind of bow my head at any point during that webinar. It was all good. What's the point of this story? How does it relate to collaboration? Well, I forgot that we all need help. I forgot that I was going to need someone to support me. There were parts of cutting my own hair that I could do very comfortably, very easily, maybe better than anyone else could do. But why have I been paying a barber all this time? It's because there are parts of my hair that I can't reach, that I can't access, that I can't cut effectively, that I can't do on my own. I can't do that on my own. That's the point, isn't it? And I can't help but feel that we're in another lockdown here in the UK, as I said. I can't help but feel that we've lost a collaborative edge to how we're working. We have these collaboration tools, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Cisco, Webex, whatever it is. But they're essentially phone calls. And when we're working closer with people, we don't call them all the time. We rely on serendipity. We call across the room to the person sitting at the desk away from us. We bump into each other at the water cooler or by the kettle when we're making coffee. Those serendipitous engagements, those opportunities to collaborate in those serendipitous engagements don't exist for us right now. And it's easy to forget how important other members of our team are when we're not seeing them in that kind of day-to-day environment. So what's the point of all of this? The point of all of this is just to say, don't forget those other people. Don't forget how important they are. When we're working virtually, we have to create those moments, those serendipitous moments. We have to call people, not just because we need something from them, not just because we want something from them, not just because they promised us something and we haven't received it yet. We need to call people just to see how they are, to create that serendipity, to create that collaboration, to create the environment where it makes it much easier for us to say, I'm working on this. Oh, you know about that. Can you help me? Don't be like me. Don't think you can do it all yourself. Don't think that you don't need to spend money on a barber. Don't think that you can get away with shaving a triangular divot out of your hair. Seek collaboration, but don't just seek collaboration. Seek the serendipity out of which collaboration is born. Make sure you're talking to your team on a regular basis. Make sure you're talking to the people that you traditionally collaborate with on a regular basis. And make sure you're doing it in a way that fosters that air of collaboration, that environment of collaboration, that serendipity that we're missing by working virtually. If you do that, hopefully you won't end up shaving the top of your head by mistake. Yeah, so thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your time as ever. I've been Andrew Burns. This has been the Running to Keep Up show, and I'll talk to you again soon. Hey my friend, thank you so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me that you would take your personal development time and spend it with me. I'm so grateful for that, thank you. What I would ask you to do is subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so I can let you know the next time I post a video. And if you have any comments, drop them below. I love hearing from you guys. It's your comments that really keep me on my toes and direct the next videos that I'm going to record. So yeah, tell me what you think, and I'll catch you next time.